interesting to see what she does with it. Yeah.
Go up and running, so you can minimize that.
Oh, we usually X out of it, so we don't.
Oh, either way, that's why I just turned down your volume.
Oh, okay.
So whichever is easier.
Got it. I'll get it.
Carter's here to talk about that.
Adam's,
It's always in.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll call to order this meeting of the Town Council and begin with a series of announcements. We have a number of positions on boards and commissions for which letters of interest are sought. A member of the Conservation Commission, 3 members of the Harbor Commission, 2 members of the Housing Trust, 3 members of the Planning Board, 2 members of the Recreation Committee, and the Tree Warden. Those letters of interest will be accepted until January 19th, 2023 at 4 p.m. In addition, as you can tell, we are meeting in a different place. Town hall meetings have been relocated from the town hall as a result of refurbishment of the second floor of the town hall building. The town council will meet here at the school. Other boards and commissions of the town will meet in the community center, and on occasion, where there is a conflict, in the Oddfellows Hall. Are there any other announcements that need to be made? Thank you. Approval of minutes. I'd like to seek a motion for approval of the minutes on December 22nd.
So moved.
second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks. And for that, the minutes of December 27th.
So moved.
Is there,
I'll second, but I want to make a comment about one item.
the motion is made and seconded. Please proceed.
On on the 27th, the last line, it says stipend for expected services and allowance for litigation expenses. I was under the assumption they were going to give us a rate. Now, maybe it's semantics, but is an allowance an hourly charge or an allowance a set number? I thought it was going to be a rate, because when I went back through all my notes, they all gave rates, but none of them.
I believe the intention of the wording, and you can certainly propose that we change it, but was to use the term allowance in a broad sense to mean a periodic stipend and then an allowance, which could take the form of either a rate or a charge or.
That's all I was
So
questioning.
your interest was in making sure that, from your notes, you believe there was a rate implication?
Yeah, well, that's,
Okay.
and the allowance was for the rate, not an allowance of a fixed number on a cost
Understood.
thing.
Okay, well, the 2 people who've been given that action are at this table, and we have your word, we have your intention, so
Okay.
we can satisfy that. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion? Aye. Any opposed? Thanks. Next are the department head reports. First, that of the finance department.
Motion to accept all department head reports unless anyone has any questions.
Yeah, I just want to pull one real quick.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded to place all on file after discussion. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Under the town manager,
Town administrator.
town administrator, sorry.
Yep.
You get Steve Madden looking at electrical work. Was that something that wasn't looked at before?
The work that he's looking at,
It's to reassess the needs there.
the increased use, for additional drops of, of outlets, as well as for IT purpose.
So I imagine the Damon Company gave us a report on the electric before we accepted the bid. I would imagine.
They subcontracted by him, so at this point, he's actually pulling that information. He met today, him and Valcourt, Chad Valcourt, who's going to be doing the split units. They met at the town hall at 9:30 this morning, and they're going to come back with some additional information.
Put you on the spot. What's the number for the electrical on it? Do you have it? If you don't, it's fine.
I don't have,
That's fine. Just email me. Thank you.
but I can work on those numbers for the
Yeah,
next.
no problem.
that is an example of something that's an evolving number, specifically because we're doing things like repositioning the source of electricity to the building from overhead wires coming to the southwest corner of the building to underground wires coming from coming to the southeast corner of the building. So therefore, we have costs that are in process as we understand what that's going to take to do. So that figure, I would expect, will change as a result of that decision, for example.
Thank you.
Okay? Any other discussion on that matter? Did I take the vote? Did I take the vote?
I'm sorry,
regarding-
you did. Andrew, I apologize, first, and then Paul seconded.
No, the vote itself. I'll ask
Oh,
for
I
a vote on the
apologize.
motion that was before us to place all these on file. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Sorry, Bob, I
No problem.
that beeping and I didn't know what it was.
The next item of business is old business to appoint a person to the unexpired term on the Little Compton Agricultural Conservancy Trust to serve until July 1st, 2023. So this is a 6-month appointment.
I'm happy to make a motion, Victoria Talbot, to the position of the Ag Trust. Conservancy.
The motion is made and seconded. Is there discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
Stalemate.
Well, I don't know. Let's proceed. We've got obviously two very qualified and capable and interested candidates. I'm not surprised that we have a difference of opinion. I will express the fact that Mr. McNaughton has yielded on 2 occasions to our appointment of him to certain roles. This is something he's been seeking longer than Victoria has. As a result, with those 2 very excellent candidates, I would move that we appoint Don McNaughton to this position.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there further discussion?
This is the only discussion I have, and this is the only quandary I have. We've got Don, who is eminently qualified and has been involved in it, but we also have Victoria, who is reaching out as a first-time citizen to get involved in policy. And the worst thing I want to do is turn somebody off who's applying for a position. So that's, I had to go to business sense. I had to go, from my practical point of view, what would work the best. And with Don, there'll be no learning curve. With Victoria, there's going to be a little bit of one. But I love her enthusiasm, so.
I would not, I would agree entirely with everything you said. Exactly. That's the issue before us.
Well, I just to continue with the discussion, I don't think there's a big learning curve there. I think the Ag Trust needs to go in a different direction than when it's going. It's accrued 2,000 acres since 1985. And I think Victoria, in her interview, understands that, and that we need to put farmers on our land, and figure out how the Ag Trust can be a part of the solution for having people have affordable housing here and put kids in our school. So I think, her learning curve is an asset to her in her position if she were to be appointed.
All right. Any other discussion?
My only request to Don is that you be bold if you are appointed. So that's it.
Are you ready to vote?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Congratulations, you have been appointed. Victoria, I am, this is the tough part of this particular arrangement. I would encourage you, frankly, to apply for the position on the Conservation Commission. I believe that your enthusiasm for the Ag Trust will not go unrequited very long. I am quite sure you are the right person for the Ag Trust in the next round, and I am grateful that you applied.
And please don't give up. Please, we're always looking for people. Thank you so much for applying.
The next item is a matter of new business. It's to set the date and time for the annual financial town meeting during the third full week of May. In our customary, for 18 years at least, I can speak to the fact that we have chosen the Tuesday of that week, and therefore that would be the 16th of May. Would there be a motion to schedule the financial town meeting on the 16th of May at 7 PM?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next item in new business is to receive a petition from Adamsville residents requesting action in 2023 to repair and replace deficient street lamps. We have a very extensive list of petitioners, and I wonder if there might be a spokesman or spokeswoman that would speak to the issue that would like to make sure we didn't miss something in reading it. Sir.
My name's Carter Wilkie. I'm one of the taxpayers, residents of Adamsville who signed the petition along with 40-some neighbors. I'm not a spokesperson of the group. I just happen to be here tonight because I'm very interested in this, as are our neighbors. So I'm not speaking in any kind of official capacity. But I know I'm not alone, that my neighbors share a desire that something be done about these lamp posts. I think there's photos attached, but if you've been into Adamsville, you'll notice that there's not a single lamp post that doesn't need painting. And for people who are entering Little Compton from that direction for the first time, it sets off a really bad first impression of this town. And not only do they look bad, the electric plate boxes are being held in place by plastic tape. And I noticed tonight on my way in, the one that's at 9 Crowbrook Road, the plate is falling off and the electric wires are exposed to the open. So maybe that's a potential safety hazard. That's the kind of thing that's happening because of lack of maintenance. Steve Flowers knows a lot more about this than I do. He's given volunteer time that he's not been compensated for to repair these things, over the years. He said to tell you that he's got a class that he's teaching tonight and he can't be here. Tony, he may have spoken to you about it, but he knows the ins and outs, all these lampposts and what's needed. And what I and my neighbors are asking is that the town just take action and do something about them.
Okay. You may be aware that as a result of this repair to the town hall, we've removed 2 lanterns that are there and have begun a process at the town hall of figuring out what do we put back up, and our intention is not to put back up what was there beforehand. We have the same intention with Adamsville, and we have the funds now to be able to do that through the Rescue Plan Act, to which we've assigned a portion in order to add to that which is in the street lamp fund, which I believe has a relatively modest balance. And our intention would be to make sure that we're listening to the citizens who live in Adamsville, who probably have the better sense of how those lanterns, not probably, certainly do, but that we would not take a single action, but a dual armed action to refurbish lanterns in the Commons and refurbish lanterns in Adamsville, and do that in 2023. So that is the direction that we're going. We don't have that laid out in detail, but we have the first indicator of the approximate price of replacing lanterns, and we think it's in the order of $1,000. So I don't know what the experience was in the past, but I plan to find out what we spent. And then we need a source of poles, which I think is likely to be, if we could standardize that between the 2 sites, it's probably in our best interest to do it that way.
So I can tell the neighbors that the funds exist to do the work in 23?
The funds do exist to do it in 2023. If I'm surprised I was surprised at the cost of a lantern, I'll probably be surprised at the cost of a lamppost. What I would appreciate is the data that folks have developed that says this one, and this one are in a state of repair that it needs paint, whereas these four need a new post. And if we get that kind of detail, I think we can put a finer touch to the numbers.
Great, thank you.
I'm excited that we can do something about this. It's really great seeing the repairs happen at Town Hall, because I think that we have a lot of pride in our community, and I think that having Town Hall refreshed is going to reflect that pride that we have, and I think doing the same thing for the lamppost in Adamsville is going to do the same things. It's going to give us that pride again, and so I'm looking forward to that.
How many lampposts are there in Adamsville? Does anyone know?
I would say it is about 25 to 30.
25?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there's more there than there is here.
I was going to say, that's not 25.
They would, these will,
Please,
I'm saying that wasn't 25.
on that list right there, oh no, there's more than that. More than
And is how many in the comments?
depicted here. I believe altogether, don't hold me to the number, Mr. President and I, we've toured Adamsville as well as he had to try to inventory all the poles, and we came up, I believe, with about 50 to 55 was the number. But I have to go back on the list, you know.
the ones in Adamsville were done with a lot of volunteer labor, and a lot of things weren't, they were up to code, but they weren't where they should have been. They buried wire in the ground without putting a conduit in. So as the ground moved over time, stones break it and everything like that. They didn't do that. It was all great intentions. And this is the problem, when they stop failing, one failed. And then when a car takes and knocks one over, it breaks it. And then it kills the ones farther down the line. So that's part of the repair. That's not part of replacing lights and posts that we got to be aware of. But I believe new conduits were thrown across the road at some point a few years ago. So they don't have to tear up the road to get to the one. The only one that might be an issue is, I think there's one on the island out in front of Simmons. That one it's going to be tricky. Because they're going to
When
have.
Main Street was repaired, there was a deliberate effort to put the conduit across underneath the asphalt. So I believe that you're
Yeah.
right.
So we're trying to, as we repair these, we want to fix that at the same time. So you're not coming back to us saying, hey, great looking lights, none of them work.
Well, what's it entail to get an inventory on these 55 lights?
What is it, what?
What's it going to entail to get an inventory on these 55 lights?
That-
By, an electrician, I would imagine, or,
Oh, you're talking about what is needed,
as somebody
restoration, or?
that's an expert in lamp posts and what happened underground with the history. And because it seems like there's going to be a little treasure in every one of these, it looks like. I don't know, I'm just guessing. In my life, there's always something in there hiding.
As you find a break in the wire, you dig it up, and you put a piece of conduit in, and you put the wire in. Traditionally, electricians run direct burial wire inside a conduit, so it never becomes an issue.
So it's just a conduit issue.
That's for why some of them don't work. Some of them have just corroded to a point or been bumped so many times that the wiring inside has broken them. But these are all, I believe, were built by the Metalworks, weren't they?
I don't know.
Don't know.
I know the lamps, when we're talking about the lanterns, those were built by Metalworks 40 years ago.
Who would be able to look at these 55 and give us an expert assessment of them?
It'd be a multi-phase thing. You'd need to talk to somebody with an excavator, talk to somebody who's structural, which the Metalworks would probably be the post and the light. And then an electrician, probably Madden, to come in and look at what needs to be done electrically.
Yeah, first step is to get them so that they're suitable and sustainable. And getting power to them, the ones that lack it, is going to be a second step. I mean, I realize a lantern without a light on it doesn't make any difference, but it does make a difference if it looks like it's falling over or it's not even there, which is what we're trying
So
to
it'd be daytime pretty, but it wouldn't be nighttime pretty if it didn't work, and we fixed it, so.
That daytime pretty right now,
Yeah, and that's-
they look worse in the daytime.
Although, mentioning Steve Flowers, I did speak with him. It's been a while since I spoke with him. You are correct. Certainly, he would be a good person to to bring on board for me to have a conversation with him, because he understands about metalworks, and he has assisted us, as you pointed out, with repair of some of these in the past.
So the Rescue Plan Act funds that were mentioned today, do we need to charge the administrator with hiring someone and using those funds to give us an assessment of what's going on with these 55 lights?
That would be the plan, yes. It would be to engage someone who understands about this, to come back with a number, not just about the lanterns, but the poles themselves. And when I'm referring to the lanterns, it's the upper piece,
Is this our $1.1 million rescue plan,
that's part of that.
right? So 1.1. So I'm happy to make that motion to charge the town administrator to go out to hire someone to get this started. With Paul's recommendation, it's just not an electrician, but an excavator. I mean, we can go talk to Steve. Steve's a great guy and very knowledgeable, but we need an excavator. Is that the word, Paul? Excavator?
You need somebody to dig up the lines to replace the broken lines with a conduit and a new line.
Right.
But these are set on cement sonotubes, and there's a conduit that goes through them and comes out. So some of the assessment might not even be able to be done until you open them up and see. An example, the one going up on Stone Church Road that got knocked over by a car, I don't know which one it was near one of the telephone poles. It actually tipped the cement in the ground, snapped the pipe, broke the wire on both sides. So it ended up, that killed all the lights after it, and we couldn't splice them back together. I was actually there, I stopped one day, I saw the guys digging there, and we couldn't even splice it back together because the wires now are all too short because they broke off. So it's gonna take a.
Just in case you thought this was a straightforward problem.
Yeah.
I'm happy to make a motion to charge the town administrator with hiring an excavator and electrician to give us an assessment of our 55 lampposts using the Rescue Plan Act money.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing it.
Thank you very much.
Next item is a recommendation from Paul Clifford regarding underground electrical power cables. I don't see Paul here with us. His communication to me and my response is located in your package. Basically, he is suggesting that we, on a town-wide basis, begin a process which would bury electrical cables and then acknowledges the fact that when you bury them, you're going to be burying something that has other functions associated with it, such as wireless transmission, that sort of thing. So it's a multifaceted thing. My response to him has been that we are refitting Town Hall, and part of that project involves burying the power supply from the commons. We expect to learn a number of lessons from that effort. Chief among them will be the cost associated with it, and as well, the ability to cross a state road, those kinds of things. So I believe that rather minor, tiny, one power line project will give us a great deal of information regarding what it would cost to do that on a larger scale. And that's my answer back to him and my intention with his suggestion. Is there a motion to place this matter on
So
file?
moved.
Second.
Second, yeah.
So my recollection, Larry Anderson, my recollection when the National Grid folks came, 4 years ago, I think, this came up, got quite a bit of discussion, and my recollection may be dim, but it seemed to me that the challenge of this, I understand the sentiment for it. But part of the challenge was both technical, financial, but also regulatory. That the National Grid has something to say about the power line.
Now Rhode Island Energy, but right, yeah.
And that this is not necessarily town's call. And beyond that, so yeah, that's my point, that the economics of doing Little Compton may not be too cool from the point of view of Rhode Island Electric.
I couldn't agree more, sir. The likelihood is we're going to pay a substantial amount of money simply to bring it across the street. But I think that will give us a sense of, all right, so if we do this on a larger scale, what kind of figure are we talking about? I personally would be thrilled if we were to be able to find a way to bury the cables in the commons so the commons look like a commons. But I think even that, it will be a substantial challenge.
And the other point would be that a lot of lines are along private roads.
Right.
So the other challenge is having to deal with individual property owners, road by road.
Yes.
So it's an understandable desire, but I think it's a big challenge.
Yeah.
Well, a three-phase primary line, I think it's like 8,000 volts. Its footprint is the size of a pole. When you get into the ground, you've got to separate them like you do up above. So the trench isn't just this narrow trench. The trench gets wider, and then there's transformer vaults, and there's pull stations, and there's restrictions. And you're right, the mechanics kick in, and it's not like running a lead from a pole to your house like we do a lot now. Logistically, it's a nightmare.
Don, were you at Warren's Point when they buried the lines down there?
Yes.
How much did that cost?
My recollection was they only did one side of the point. And I think it was $100,000,
And that was 15 years ago?
20-ish years ago.
Yeah. Less than like, probably, it was probably like, what, a quarter mile or a half mile?
It wasn't that long.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on the motion to place this on file? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next item of business is a communication and abatement list submitted by the tax assessor. The assessor is here with us this evening. If you have questions, she has proposed the new an abated value, an abated tax amount, which totals $2,637.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Discussion on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Madam Assessor. Next, a letter from the Rhode Island Safety Code Board of Appeal and Review, in which they have added a time of day to their previously announced date of February 21st for the hearing that we have sought on a variance for the installation of sprinklers in the town hall. We believe that we are able to defend the fact that those are not needed. The appearance before that board may or may not need to occur depending upon what additional information we're able to provide them. Is there a motion to place this letter on
So
file?
moved.
Second?
Discussion on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The consent file has an item.
Motion to place consent item on file unless someone wants to discuss.
Second?
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
The payment of bills.
Motion to pay the bills.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
There being no further matters before us, I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.